If you're someone who's done a lot of personal growth work and feel like you know a lot, but you're still stuck, this episode is for you. I've spent over 2 decades researching and studying human behavior and relationships, psychology and how the mind works, trauma healing, subconscious belief work, and more. But the most powerful shift I've ever had did not come from any of that. It came from an obscure and tiny 85-page book written in 1910, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. It's not actually about money, and what it is about might just be the thing you've been missing too. So today I'm sharing the profound lessons I took from this book, why it hit me so hard, and even contributed to me quitting being a therapist, and how you can apply the ideas in how you live so that you can start creating what you want no matter what your current circumstances look like. Hi, I'm Hilary Silver, former therapist turned master coach and founder of Ready for Love. We help high-achieving women become the most magnetic and powerful version of themselves so they can get everything they want in love and in life. So let's get into it. Don't be fooled by this tiny little book. Every sentence is packed with meaning. Reading it requires your full attention or you risk missing something amazing because literally every sentence and every word is loaded with brilliance. It turned my world upside down in the best possible way, and it cracked something open in me that nothing else had. Not years of therapy and not even all the therapy training that I went through. In fact, when I read it back in 2016, I kind of got mad because after all that work, this little book showed me what we all really just need to do, and it's to stop digging into our past, reliving, rehashing, and looking backwards, but to simply just go forward, mastering our mind. That realization shifted everything. It completely changed how I think about myself and how the world actually works. And it was the tipping point for me in realizing that I no longer believe in the therapy model at all. So today I want to share the 5 big lessons that I took from this book and why I still treat it like a personal Bible. Literally, it's on my desk and I have a copy on my nightstand just in case I need inspiration. And I'll even read you some of my favorite lines because honestly, I just couldn't say it any better myself if I tried. So the first core concept that Wallace Wattles shares is that there is this stuff called the thinking stuff from which all things are made. That's a quote. That's how he describes what some might call God or source or spirit or the universe. And what it is this intelligent, creative energy that permeates everything around us. It's not just around us, it's responding to us always. Every thought you have impresses itself upon this thinking substance. And from that impression, a corresponding form begins to take shape. It's kind of like magic, but it's not actually. So you're not just thinking within your own head, you're thinking into the field of creation. And that means you're in a constant, active relationship with it. This was for me the best explanation of how we manifest things in our life. It helped me understand manifesting. Something that I had actually been doing a lot of since I was very little, but didn't know it, and I didn't understand what I was doing. Which leads me to the next idea, which is that what we think is the origin of everything we experience. We are not here to manage and deal with our reality. We are here to create it. And you do that by thinking what you want to think. You literally think things into creation. So he says, and this is a quote, "A man's way of doing things is the direct result of the way he thinks about things. To do things the way you want to do them, you will have to acquire the ability to think the way you want to think." It sounds simple and basic, but it explains everything. Your actions, your habits, your results, they all flow from your thoughts, which wasn't necessarily new information for me because I'd been helping people manage their thoughts and choose better thoughts for years. But here's what made this next level for me. And bear with me because this is pretty complex. He makes the distinction between thinking what we want to think, which is thinking truth, versus thinking thoughts that are a reaction to appearances. He says to think truth, regardless of appearances, is the hardest work in the world, and I could not agree more. The hardest thing is to believe something is true before the world gives you proof. It is the hardest work there is. And this is another quote. Every appearance in the visible world tends to produce a corresponding form in the mind which observes it. And unless you consciously hold the truth in your mind, you will start thinking what you see instead of thinking what you desire. Holy shit, this just blew my mind. And I was like, oh my God, yes, this is it. So what follows is this, the third idea that I took from the book. Your thoughts aren't just passive ideas floating in your head. They are instructions. They are blueprints for creation. They go out into the thinking stuff, that energy field, and that field begins organizing around what you hold in your mind. So when you keep your mind aligned with the truth of what you desire, not the appearance of your current reality, you begin to create a new experience. This is how we rise above circumstance, overcome all odds, and consciously choose for ourselves who we are and what we want for ourselves. Unfortunately, we do it backwards when we try to change our actions without changing our thoughts, when we try to fix our circumstances without fixing our perspective. When we try to create things, but we don't think with clarity or consistency or even the belief that it's possible, that's why we stay stuck. And that's why the healing work, the therapy, the effort doesn't move us forward. That's because we're still thinking according to appearances. We're thinking what we see instead of seeing what we choose to think. This is when I realized and began saying, oh my gosh, that old phrase, seeing is believing, is backwards. We have to first believe, and only then will we start seeing. And then this leads me to the next big takeaway of the book for me, that we go first. It's not enough to want something with every ounce of your being. You have to become the version of you who already has it before you will ever get it. You have to think the thoughts of someone who's already living the life you want before you actually have it. I know that's super heady, but he says, this is another quote, thought is the only power which can produce tangible riches from the formless substance. This is the foundation of the book. Your outer world is simply a reflection of your inner world. You don't hustle your way to joy or love or success or fulfillment. You live it internally first, and then you act from that energy. When I finally got this, I stopped operating like someone trying to work hard for success, and I started embodying someone who already had the success I wanted. This was everything for me. And from there, the action was easy. The success was natural. That's really the shift. You don't get rich by working harder. You get rich by thinking richer. It's just mind-blowing. And by the way, another reminder, this is not about money and getting rich at all. It's about really becoming who you need to be, thinking how you want to think, so that you can then impress upon the universe and influence the universe to deliver all that it is that you desire. And so finally, for anyone who struggles with feeling undeserving of love, happiness, success, or receiving anything that you really want, he says, and this is another quote, the very best thing you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself. Wattles says that pursuing personal wealth and success is not a selfish endeavor, but a responsibility. How's that? By doing so, individuals not only enhance their own lives, but also uplift others, fostering a more prosperous and progressive society. By achieving our own success, we set a precedent and provide a tangible example for others to follow. This perspective positions personal development and wealth accumulation and acts of service to humanity, demonstrating the possibilities available to us all. Oh my God. All of that in this tiny little 85-page book. Again, why every sentence is so jam-packed with meaning. So now I'm going to read a full quote that I come back to again and again. Got to put my glasses on. So he says, to think what you want to think is to think truth, regardless of appearances. Every man has the natural and inherent power to think what he wants to think, but it requires far more effort to do so than it does to think thoughts which are suggested by appearances. To think according to appearance is easy. To think truth, regardless of appearances, is laborious and requires the expenditure of more power than any other work man is called upon to perform. There is no labor from which most people shrink as they do from that of sustained and consecutive thought. It is the hardest work in the world. This is especially true when truth is contrary to appearances. Every appearance in the visible world tends to produce a corresponding form in the mind which observes it. And this can only be prevented by holding the thought of truth. I just love this book, and I hope that you will read it because I want it to be as life-changing for you as it's been for me. That is the work, and that is the power. If you want to become a master of your life, then you must become a master of your mind. When you change your mind, you absolutely change your life, period. This is the work that I do in my Ready for Love program for my single high-achieving women who have everything they want in life except the loving, supportive relationship they've always wanted. They learn to change the way they think about themselves and what is possible for them. And they begin walking through life with different internal dialogue, and they manifest the true equal partner they've always wanted, someone to share their life with, something that they actually struggled to think and believe and know was possible before, successful in other areas of their lives because they were able to think that way in those parts of their lives. You can have everything that you want, my friends. It starts with you. So if you are single and you are high achieving and you want to learn more about Ready for Love, just apply to speak with us. I'll put the links in the show notes. You can also watch my free masterclass. It's about 35 minutes. I'll also put the link there so you can learn more about what we do. If this resonated, hit like, drop a comment, please share with me and subscribe, and definitely check out my episode on how I changed my brain in 90 days. It pairs perfectly with this episode, and I'll see you next time.